Hello students, I think we've studied about the downstreaming processes and all in the previous sessions. Okay, so I'll just tell you about the industry part of economics, okay, which is called as the fermentation economics. Okay, what do you mean by this actually? What idea do you get about this? Okay, immediately it comes to your mind that what is the amount of investment and profits, etc. Right? Okay. With this background, we will study what is meant by fermentation economics. It's a very easy topic. You can easily guess it. Okay. Let us go on with one by one. Again, we are reviewing the industry, right? Okay. Let us go with that. Okay. So coming to fermentation economics. What are the basic objectives of this? Capital investment should be planned well and confined. You must plan for when you're starting an industry or when an industry is in progress, they should always have a planned schedule and planned economics. Okay, in the sense, the investment, profit, everything, they should have a knowledge about it. And it should be confined. Okay, the raw material should be quite cheap and sustainable. It must be available. Sustainable means it should be available most of the time, and you should always have an alternative raw material, seasonal changes on that. Strain used for the production. Obviously, anybody will think about a high yielding one. Okay, use of specific automated system. See, earlier traditional methods were there, the old methods were there. So today automated systems have come, then your production will increase. So what is the concern here? We must know that the investment for the industry should be how much, there should be some changes. So objectives of the economics mean, so your industry grows when you have all these aspects. Okay, so what does the industry spend? What does the industry look upon? Okay, the manpower next. Okay, after the automated system, when you say manpower, need to be identified which areas you need to have a manpower. Okay, and it's a fermentation industry. The investment on the batch or a continuous fermenter, of course, recovery rate would be very high in the continuous fermentation process than the batch process. Correct? So continuous fermentation process will give us a better yield. Product recovery process, it should be simple and rapid. So there will be some procedure for a purification. If you have a new procedure, if there's some innovations, right, then it is possible. Then you can bring a development in the industry. So always think that an industry will grow only because of all these aspects. Economics is such an important thing here because they will look into every aspect of a benefit. They will not drain out a part of the media just like that. If you bottle every little quantity of the fermenter, you can make up more money. Okay, so it's a procedure. They have to go with it. Effluent treatment procedure. This also requires investment. Where all areas, see, as I'm reading, you have to understand which all areas the industry will spend more. Efficient use of heat and power. You have to run the fermenter, you have to cool the fermenter, right? In all these areas, we need more amount of water, correct? So water is very, very important in the industry. Research and development, R&D. Without an R&D, there is no license. You cannot run the industry. It can be any type of an industry, right? Okay. So research and development is such an important wing. Their investment will be very high. They might be doing research for a long time, but they cannot say, for 3 years I did not get any result, so I'll stop it. Research goes on. So industry will have to do that. Industrial space requirement. Safety guidelines and regulations. Marketing strategies. So in every area, industry has to do investment. So with this background, one should understand with these points or objectives, one should understand or start thinking about the industry in relation to the investments and the profits. Let's take up a few things to understand. Fermentation process. Industry will always think about a good microorganism, correct? There should be a benefit from industrial production. So synthetic media is of course used for any isolations. But for production, you cannot think about it. That's a research work, that's a standardization. You have to provide a sustainable, cheaper, easily available media formulation, and it should be having more of desirable products than undesirable products. Can you avoid undesirable products? No. You cannot avoid undesirable products. You have to have it will be present. So you should have a high amount of desirable products. Then your media is apt. So here if you see the example, streptomycin antibiotic in 1943 had a very lesser yield, 50 units per centimeter cube. Improved yield was like in 1972, it reached 15,000. How did it happen? Economy is the second part, but why did it happen? Okay, I think you would have guessed a few things like strain improvement, media formulations, better recovery processes, right? Yeah. So industry should work on the various things. So this is one area where they have to invest. All of us know that bioreactor is such an important thing. You should design a fermenter according to your necessity. Installation, maintenance, servicing, calibrations of that, certification, all these are very important. Sterilization process. Where all areas we are investing. Sterilization process means every little thing of the industry. The bioreactor, the inlet pipes, the outlet pipes, the probes, okay? Then the environment, the air, working area, the people who are working should wear sterilized aprons, etc. And the huge media preparation vessels, storage vessels, depth filters of the industry means the industry will release the ultimate air into that environment. It should pass through the depth filters, free from all the microbes and other chemicals. Okay, so investment is there in various aspects. Aeration and agitation cost. The impeller designing. See, every fermenter needs a different design. You learned about the Prochem, Max, Flow, paddle type, etc. Depends on what is required. Testing. You have to test them, experiment them. Motor speed, power. Then sparger costs. The sterile air is very expensive. Okay. Especially in areas where you're going to give a pure oxygen, maybe it's animal cell culture, there the investment goes high. The batch or continuous process depends on how much you can invest, or the industry can invest, I mean to say. Work is more, recovery is less in batch. In continuous, I mean, the work is more in the sense, in batch, every time you are going to clean up the bioreactor and then go for the fresh one. In a continuous process, you have a set of bioreactors like a cascade, and you can keep on recovering lots of product. Okay, economy. Investment, the more you invest, the more you will get in continuous fermentation process. Let's say. Effluent treatment is a very important area, again in the industry, where you need to have a proper look through. because investment is going high, is also higher there, because you need to treat the gallons of media. Okay, the industry will be always monitored by certain bodies, like National Rivers Authority, river boards in Scotland, it is in different countries, like the pollution control boards. So these all are very important boards where they will monitor the industry's effluents. Okay, effluents like certain chemicals will be there in the common medias, they are very harmful. Ivermectin, anti-helminthic compounds like that, they will be present in the media, and they will affect the fauna. Okay, so water requirements also plays an important role. For example, if you consider what is the amount of water used in the industry, you can have a look at it. Maltings will require, malt preparation require around 230 m³ of water. Brewing 10,000. Antibiotics 245. Acetic acid 700. Look at SCP 4,000 to 18,200 m³ of water per day. So the requirement of water is very high in the industry. So there is always a investment, high investment on this. You cannot have it in an urban area. With this background, you can understand how much of need is there for power, water. It's a high investment in the industry. A lot of they need to look into the recovery equally for this. Legislation also plays a very important role. What is legislation? Legislation means you have to go through the various aspects, like the laws, because industry will have its own confinements beyond which you cannot extend, and there are certain things one has to abide. There's a lot of amount paid for that, for your licensing and all. Okay, that's also high investment. I would suggest you to make a table on this. Let us say, I would suggest you one table in which you can write for wine preparation. I'll just show you on the board also something briefly. You need to understand, let's say it's a homework for you. Let's say you're going to have a wine industry. You just have to write a table on how much, we'll have 3 columns. First column will tell you what all we just discussed, slightly. You have to see. I think you can write for 2 industries. One for wine and another for, let us say, some antibiotic. Or you can write on brewing. Brewing already I told you. So you can write about, because you are studying in microbial biotechnology, certain products. Like you can write on xanthan gum production, like that. Take an example, that's all. Just give a comparison and say that you just take a pharmaceutical compound, because there the investment goes high. Okay, you take a pharmaceutical compound and take wine, you have a lot of difference. Okay, you just write the differences. In the sense, make first column having what all investments. I'll give you an example for wine. Grapes. If it is beer preparation, you will have to write on malt grains. Okay, let's say you want to produce some 10,000 bottles of wine. How much of investment will you do? How much is your profit? I'll tell you 1 or 2 more. In the first column, talking about wine, I'm writing investment. You should think on which all areas. Grapes, sugar, okay, sulfur dioxide gas or sulfurous acid, okay, then fermenter. Then you should write about all the parts where you're going to agitation, aeration, like that. You should write all around. Maybe you'll get around 15 words. So you will write about those points, and then you will say how much is the actual investment will be there for each. Okay, I was telling you about even the legislations, right? You can say even that as one of the points, because one has to approve the product through FDA. Okay, it will take a long time. If it's a pharmaceutical compound, the clinical trials also can be added as one of the points, because you have to do a large investment. Let's say now you're talking about the vaccine. Vaccine can be taken as an example for production. You can write about that also as fermentation economics. You can take up anything as an example. Okay, it takes around 10 years for the evaluation certain drugs, okay, for approval, so etc. Like that you can understand and just give one table. Don't very easily you can write this. It can be for a 5 marks question. It can be a short answers also, like asked in the examination. Okay, with this background, just try to write something on this. Okay, yeah, I'll just give you a table. If you want, you can just look into the table once. Students, you can see like this is a wine industry. Like what's the make around few columns with all the products. Let's say grapes, sugar, water, sulfur dioxide, bioreactor, effluent. You can add on few more things here, as I discussed with you. Then investment, how much you're investing, what is the amount spent, what is the profit, just like your accounts. Okay, maybe I will say grapes is around 10,000 rupees. Okay, spent of course will be the same. Some amount of grapes will go waste because of certain things of quality. Then profit. So profit you can calculate later. Just write everything first, and then you means you're understanding how much will be the cost of each. Okay, then we'll do a review of this. Okay. Students, yeah, I just wanted to add on one more thing. There's one small topic on QC, quality control of fermented products. So in this, I'll just tell you one or two points just to understand about it. So we all know that quality control is very important. Okay, let's say you are talking about alcohol production. Give an example. I'll give you one or two examples. QC, after production is over, we go to the QC, quality control. Whenever it goes to quality control, we will think about the chemical and the microbiological. Both comes into picture. You've been doing in the labs also. Take alcohol. Let's say you have a distilled alcohol. Or you have wine, any of this process when you consider. Okay, so what is the chemical QC we do for this? The chemical QC for this will be going to see for the percentage of citric acid. All of you have done it many times. Okay, let's say you have got a microbial product of citric acid production. It's already formed in the form of a crystal. What is got to you? Already it's in the crystallized form. Or before that, it's a crude citric acid in the broth. You need to know when to harvest it. That time also you can go for this QC. Okay, you will be going for the QC. You do a simple acid-base titration. It's a chemical analysis, not a microbiological analysis, correct? Yeah. Then you will go for plating on the artificial medium, to see the contamination rates. Initially, citric acid production, when you go, only one dominant fungus will be there, but still, the rule says you have to check for the QC. Okay, that's one of the things. You'll see it for any contaminants, isn't it? Similarly, let us say you are talking about alcohol. Okay, citric acid is one thing, is an example that we took. Chemical analysis is citric acid production, citric acid percentage, which is not purely microbiology, right? It's a chemical analysis. Microbiology means you're going to plate it on the artificial medium and check for them. Okay, in the beginnings and all, microbiology job was in many industries were, it's chemical and microbiological together because of that. Let's say this what is a routine work for a QC, for a citric acid industry, right? So similarly for a vinegar industry, they'll see percentage of acetic acid and see if any contaminants are there in the broth, correct? Okay. Similarly for alcohol, what you will do for alcohol, you have distilled alcohol and wine, you will go for, any guesses? You will go for percentage of alcohol, correct? The AOAC methodology, the chart, that's a chemical analysis, in fact. Okay, that's why you will be learning about the percentage of alcohol in the product. Let's say 8%, 10%, 12%. You will report this. This is a chemical analysis. It's a QC. Why should you do this when fermentation is going on in progress? Because you must know when to harvest it. Fermentation process will be going on. 7 days of fermentation process will be going on. 8th day it comes into. You need to harvest. So you need to know the percentage of alcohol. Once it is static, you will say, yeah, it's fine. We have to harvest it like that. That's a chemical analysis. What is microbiological analysis? Will you expect very high contaminants in them? No, but still you have to do it. Okay. You'll see for the yeast count, generally to understand at what yeast counts, it will show this much of percentage of alcohol. 5% means what's the yeast count, 10% means what's the yeast count, etc. Don't think that it's a standard for all the time because media formulations change every time. Okay. So we can also go for hemocytometer, direct cell counting. That also helps us. Then plate it on certain contaminants which are. We should always think about what are the possible contaminants in those areas. they'll check for those bacteria in the artificial medium. Got some idea? So let's say wherever they have a pharmaceutical, they'll see a particular chemical component percentage in the tablet or syrup. So chemical analysis. Then they'll plate that on a microbiological medium, the cap liners, the injection outer covers, etc. Whatever related to that. That's why you'll be studying. In industrial microbiology, you have a practical. You will say that study of pharmaceutical compounds, the sterility. Why you do that? To know the level of contamination. Okay. With this small topic, you can understand about what is the meaning of QC of fermented products. Okay. So then, be safe at home. Maybe after this few sessions, your exams might be there. Okay. What you say? In few days. Okay. Thank you.